We have 10 fragrances to discuss today and an honorable mention. Most of these are really strong likes and loves. And I've got two that I'm still kind of playing with and trying to figure out if they are going to move into the heavy like and love category or just stay in the that's nice category. Before we get started, I do want to point out that there are website links and affiliate codes below for some discounts to save you some money on just about all of these fragrances. I think maybe one or two you can't get through those links, maybe three, maybe four. Anyway, I'll point them out as we go along. There's a Joma Shop link. I have a landing page there that you can enter and shop through. You can go to Twisted Lily and use the code Veronica10 for 10% off your entire order there. Or you can go to So Avant-Garde and use my code Veronica20 for 20% off your entire order on So Avant-Garde. Why don't we start off with the honorable mention? I started off with a travel spray of this fragrance because I am trying to be better about not blind buying as much. I still get a thrill from blind buying, and so occasionally I do. In fact, I think one, maybe two that we're going to talk about today are blind buys. This one I did have a travel spray of. I actually tried it in store and then purchased a travel spray, and I really enjoy it. It's one that has polarizing reviews in the sense that I don't think anyone dislikes this fragrance, but a number of folks just don't feel like it's worth the price tag or anything special. I quite like it, and it is Burberry Goddess. And the reason that it is an honorable mention is because I had a travel spray first and have talked about this. In fact, the travel spray is in that brown bowl there, waiting to be sold on Mercari. So if you're looking for a travel spray, it'll be posted soon if it hasn't sold already. Here's the thing about Burberry Goddess. It came out on the market, I think it was like 168 or 69 for the full-size 100 ml bottle. And then Jackie at Jack's Beautiful You gave us an alert on her community page that she saw it on Aura Fragrance for under $100. And I was like, girl, that is what fragrance friends are for. And I hurried my little self online and ordered me a full-size bottle at right under 100. Do I think it is worth the full asking price of 168 or 169 or whatever? I think so. Yes, if you are a vanilla lover. And if you want the kind of fragrance that I'm going to describe, I would say it's absolutely worth it. So for me, this is mostly a beautiful, very feminine lavender vanilla fragrance in the beginning and through the mid, and then the lavender sort of settles out and it becomes a very lovely, elegant, everyday vanilla. And what I mean by everyday, there are some everyday vanillas that just feel ordinary, boring, plain. I don't feel like this is a plain vanilla, but I do feel that it is everyday in the sense that it could be very office safe. One that you might wear for day-to-day occasions, like spending time with your family or friends, going out to lunch, that type of thing. I could see this being special occasion in the evening if you have a short affair to go to. For me, the standout part of this fragrance, though, is the opening and the mid experience of this with that really just sort of soft, smooth lavender. There's different kinds of lavender in fragrance, at least that's my experience. You can get the lavender that's in like a satchel that you would put in your undergarment drawer, for example. There's the lavender that's in spa oils. This lavender is hard to describe in that it's almost like a concentrated form of an oil lavender. And the vanilla is a really nice one in here as well. I believe there are other notes that people are picking up, perhaps cacao, and is there ginger or some other kind of spice? I can't say that I really experienced any of that with this fragrance. For me, this is a lovely lavender and a beautiful vanilla. The lavender, as I mentioned, starts to fade away and you get mostly vanilla in the deep dry down. The fragrance lasts on me. I know that was a complaint of many people that they felt like it was too fleeting. I would say I get a half a day's wear or more, 4 to 6-ish, maybe more hours out of that. And then in that later time period, it does get closer to the skin. So definitely not an all-day projector or anything. But I'm glad for the purchase. And look how big the bottle looks in the screen. It looks like Godzilla or something. On Aura Fragrances is where I got this, inexpensive. I think this has shown up on other discounters like Fragrance Net. I believe it's on Joma Shop, and I don't know where else. And then the Sephora sale is coming up, friends, at the end of October here. Is it the end of October or the end of November? I think it's the end of October into early November. The dates were released. So you may want to check this out for 20% off. Hair, it's on its own game. What is happening? So the next fragrance... The next fragrance I talked about in my September Fragrance Awards, and I had it in the overhyped category. And I stand by that, although I have to say I love this fragrance. And I'll explain again why it's overhyped in just a second. And it's Hufflepuff from House of Sillage. I know you've seen this a lot everywhere on YouTube, almost like all the time, and maybe everybody's videos. It is much prettier in person. This is just a gorgeous little cupcake. I'm not enamored with the whole Swarovski crystal deal. That's not it. It's the fact that it's so lemon yellow with this raised gold, almost, is that like a paisley-ish print or something of that nature on their scrolled paisley, whatever. And then it has the little Hufflepuff, my God, little Hufflepuff symbol on the top. Is that, I don't even know what a Hufflepuff is. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I took the test and I am not a Hufflepuff. I am a Raven something. Raven, is it a Ravenclaw? I don't know. Anyway, I like the Harry Potter worlds at Universal Studios. Does that count for something? I really adore going in there. Anyhow, let's talk about this. It's super overhyped for the price. This retails for somebody's car payment. You know what I mean? And it's been on sale. I got this one 30% off, which was still mega expensive. And then recently it was half off, and at half off, it's 180. So what does that make it retail? 360 or something like that? 360 is insane for these bottles. Unless, look, folks, if you have it like that and it's okay for you to just be dropping 360 on cupcakes, high five, good for you, no problem. Spend your money on whatever you feel like spending your money on. You work hard for it. Now, at 180, I do think that this is worth it. At 260, I was pushing it. So this fragrance is one that my husband has really come to love and fall in love with on me. So when we do date nights or snuggle time or whatever, I ask him to pick out a fragrance, and he started to reach for this one quite a lot. Mostly vanilla, a beautiful like lemon citrusy aspect, coconut. It has like a creaminess to it, and a little bit of peach. The peach is not cloying or overwhelming to me like it can be in some fragrances. So it comes across to me almost like a candied vanilla. I really enjoy the scent. It isn't super long lasting. You'll get good wear out of it. Okay. You'll get, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6-ish hours, something like that, 4, 6, maybe 8. But the thing is, it comes close to the skin a few hours in. You get a nice little, mini scent bubble. It's not going to be smelled across the room. And some people feel like this doesn't last on them for a long time. I will say, as I always say with a lot of fragrances, we do get nose blind to fragrances sometimes. So see if somebody else can smell it on you. If they can't, then it's not just your nose, it's the actual fragrance that maybe isn't lasting for forever the way that some people might like. Anyway, do I regret this? Not even a little bit. Would I purchase it again? I would, and I would probably purchase it again at that 30% off. Would I pay full price? Maybe. It's a really, really delicious fragrance. At 180, it's like a no-brainer for me. So anyway, yeah. This one is a beautiful new addition, and I really enjoy just looking at this cute little thing. Next is a fragrance that is available on So Avant-Garde. I'm trying to remember if I've seen it show up on Joma's shop. I think occasionally it might be on there now. I'm not sure. And it is Fragrance Dubois Cavort. So this is one that was super popular on YouTube maybe about a year ago from when I'm filming this video, and I don't hear people talking about it a lot. However, it may reappear here in the winter as we get into colder months in the US especially. This is very much a spicy, almost creamy rose fragrance with a lot of sandalwood. Look, this smells like something I have smelled before. I don't know what that is. I can't figure it out. It's a very familiar smell, but it doesn't matter. I really like this, and I did get it on discount from So Avant-Garde. So you can use Veronica 20 for 20% off of this, or wait for an upcoming sale that's going to be even more off if you're patient. And here in just a little bit with So Avant-Garde, it says on the label it's pour homme and pour femme. So for men and women, and I do think this is a very sexy unisex fragrance. This is a powerhouse. This is long lasting. This has good projection. I wouldn't say it's like across the street projection, but it definitely gets its presence known in a room. But more than anything, like a woody rose fragrance that's very appealing, very sexy, very deep, very sensual, and perfect for going into the winter months here because of the profile of the fragrance being a heavy one. I wouldn't say it goes into like a syrupy direction the way some amber fragrances do, for example. This definitely stays on the woody side in the sense that it's lighter in maybe texture. It's not as thick. Not light as a fragrance because you do smell it projection wise, but it doesn't have the thickness of amber fragrances. For example, when you think of winter fragrances, definitely though strong on the woodiness, spices, saffron, the saffron note. So in the sense comes across like very slightly airy, leathery, and that rose is prominent in the fragrance to me. And I think it is gorgeous. Really enjoy wearing this. And I do like the Fragrance Dubois bottles. And I do love that it is purple plated here. So this is a neat fragrance. Really, really like this. Let me just pause to say before we continue, it is the perfect fall day here in Central Virginia. I don't know if you can see from the reflection in the glass of this oil drawing thing here. It's like a crepe drawing back there, and it's of Portofino in Italy, and it's drawn by my aunt. We'll talk about that another day. But it's a breezy, clear fall day. The sky is as blue as can be. It's in the lower 60s, so you don't really need a jacket unless you're somebody that is usually cold. A long sleeve shirt or a very light sweater will do. And the leaves are still on the trees and just starting to turn, so the air is just kind of rustling through the leaves, and it's really beautiful. And so if you see the reflection of the trees going back and forth like right here, I just wanted to share that with y'all because, you know, who doesn't love an absolutely fantastic fall day? My favorite season. So the next fragrance was sent to me for review by Twisted Lily, and it is Juliette Has a Gun Ode to Dullness. If you're interested in this, you can use Veronica 10 on twistedlily.com for 10% off this and your entire order, as I mentioned. So I talked about this in a previous video, but wanted to mention it again because I'm enjoying it. This is a clean, cozy fragrance for me. It is very soapy in a luxurious way. It's like a soap with this creamy, musky texture to it and some woodiness in the background. I found this to be pretty long lasting. I applied the second time that I wore this, I would say I applied pretty heavily in the morning, and it took me well through dinner time, if you will. People could still smell it on me. It's one that I would not hesitate to wear in social environments like with clients for work, or if I'm going to a work, meeting with my colleagues. It's a decadent soap smell. Clean, aldehydic. Now, if you look at the note structure, you don't see aldehydes in there, but I can't help but think that this is aldehydic in nature. It's not like a sparkling soap. It's like a creamy soap. Have you had a bar of soap that has a nice creamy texture to it? And so that when you use it, it's almost like moisturizing to your skin, and it smells clean and it smells fresh, has a little bit of woodiness, as I mentioned, and definitely a very soft, almost like enveloping musk, very soft musk. So this is a winner. It's interesting. Had I smelled it in store, I don't know that I would have been compelled to purchase it. But since it was sent to me for review, I had the opportunity to wear it. And I was like, this is kind of nice. I think I would have liked it in store and been like, oh, that's cool, but I don't need a bottle. But then I tried it on and wore it. And especially after seeing my son's reaction where he was like, you smell great, Mom. You smell nice. That's really nice. That means a lot to me when people compliment me, especially my son and husband and our kids in general, on a fragrance. It means a lot. And it then sort of elevates the fragrance in my experience. And I enjoyed wearing this. It felt like a very comfortable, clean white t-shirt, or even white button-down shirt, to the office with some slacks. Your nice, crisp little shirt with your collar popped a little bit. Maybe not popped. Maybe you just starched it. Whatever. A nice white button-down shirt. Ode to Dullness. Love the name. That is peculiar. Like, who would pick up a fragrance called Ode to Dullness? But I like the ordinariness of the fragrance in it being a soapy, woody, clean fragrance. One fragrance I've been wanting to try for a very long time, and I saw it super inexpensive on FragranceNet, another place that I just love to shop for some discount fragrances. This is from Chaubaud, and this is Lait Biscuit. This is the smaller size because I hadn't sampled first, so I'm trying to give myself that rule that if I don't sample it, maybe go for a smaller bottle if there's one available. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule, friends, but Lait Biscuit, at least according to Fragrantica, 3 notes that are featured anyway. Biscuit, and by biscuit, it's like a wafer. Okay, so like the British version of a biscuit, a wafer, not like our American Southern delicious buttermilk biscuits. Woo, my husband makes some amazing buttermilk biscuits. Do we want to talk about that sometime? In fact, friends, can I pause for a second? I have another tangent. If you like home style vloggy videos, if you like makeup, if you like lifestyle sorts of things, if you like hair products and face products and just hanging around talking about life lessons, rambly, chatty videos, check out Essential Veronica. That is my second channel. And you really got to like to chit chat because we talk a lot on that channel about life and everything in between. We do get ready with me sessions for makeup. We do travel vlog. We do everything. Anyway, maybe I should do a video over there about my husband's buttermilk biscuits because they are so freaking good. But on to this kind of biscuit, the British biscuit. Let me talk about first the bottle. Yes, it's only the 1 ounce, but I know that the full-size bottles look like this. I don't love the tops on the bottles. I have this thing where these plastic tops just feel kind of cheap to me. The fragrance is delightful. This is not a fragrance to be taken seriously. This is a fragrance to wear when you want to hang out at home, watch movies, you want to cuddle up in your bed at night and maybe watch a horror movie, and you want to be comfortable in your PJs and you want a nice, sweet fragrance to sort of comfort you. Yes, I can see how there is that wafer type smell in here, and I can see how there's vanilla. I would even say there's like a milkiness to the fragrance, along with a very faint caramel. I don't pick up a whole lot of caramel. I pick up more of like a soft, cozy, almost blanketing vanilla, different from than like Burberry Goddess, which is, I think, a very elegant vanilla. This one is more bedtime comforting, simple, like a flat vanilla that just, it's like a blanket. It hugs around you alongside that scent of, think of vanilla wafer or something along those lines. I really enjoy this. It's fleeting in that, you know, you might get a few hours out of it. So consider this either a hang around the house or bedtime scent or something that you're going to have to reapply a lot. It's not a fragrance that I can take super seriously, but it's one that I can enjoy when I wear. So in terms of happiness that I got it, I would say somewhere like that. Maybe not totally like this, but like in there. So Lait de Biscuit. Next up is a fragrance that would have made it into my Nutty Perfumes video. Here is the thumbnail. Check that video out. I'll link it in the description box for you. But I didn't get it in time, although I have heard about this fragrance probably for several years now from a number of different YouTubers. And this is from Perfumer, and this is Noir Exis. Noir Exis. I found this on Joma Shop, and I think it was in like the $160 range. I believe, let me check this out for y'all. Hold on. It is $210 on the actual website for this full-size 100 ml bottle. Now, this is a fragrance that I believe has come in and out of stock, if I'm not mistaken, on the L'Artisan Parfumeur website. I recently picked up two for two. Tea for two from this same house and grew to really like that. I liked it when I first tried it and then tried it again and was like, this is friggin' good. I would say the same thing is true of this one. When I first sprayed it on, I thought, okay, what was all the hype about? It's nice, but what's the big deal? And then I tried it a second time, let it mellow out, sniffed it throughout the day and thought, oh, now I understand why it's such a beloved fragrance in the community. Now, if you look on the L'Artisan Parfumeur website, it lists 3 key notes: coffee, glazed chestnut, and maple syrup. I find this to be sweet and cozy and comforting. It's like, imagine if you had by the fireplace without the smokiness. I don't find this fragrance to be smoky at all. I find it to be really cozy and comforting. It's like that and a little bit like Raised Spirits from Navitus, if you've tried that one. I don't think that there are any boozy notes listed, but it kind of gives me that same sort of effect that you get in Raised Spirits, maybe not as pronounced. A lot of people associate this fragrance with the holidays, with Thanksgiving, with Christmas, the smell of nuttiness and spices in the air. And I think that that's true. I would say for a lot of you, this is one that you would probably need to sample first. And the reason that I say that is I could see this coming across ever slightly so masculine on some people. And you know how there are certain notes on folks like cumin and notes like that that can feel a little bit like BO to folks. I don't get that on me. I think this plays really nicely on my skin. But I just want to note that for those of you that are sensitive to those types of notes, I don't think there's anything like that in here. But there is something in the fragrance that I think oh my gosh, somebody help my tongue. There is something in the fragrance that could come across like that to certain people. I think this is enjoyable. It's one that I would like to play with more. It does get a thumbs up from me. It's in the like category. I want to see if this moves into strong like and love like the Tea for Two did. So a winner overall. Noir Exis. This next fragrance I have lusted over for quite a long time. I sampled it during one of my purchase or pass videos, that series that I do where I sample a bunch of fragrances. Really liked this fragrance. I thought it was quite exquisite, divine, lovely, unique, all of the things, but so expensive. It's over $300 retail. I think it's in the $350 to $380 range, depending on where you look for a full-size bottle. And, oh, that's a pretty penny for a fragrance that has very soft projection and not, you know, the greatest longevity. But I promised myself if I saw it on a decent sale, I would grab it. Now, it's still super expensive for what I paid for it. It's over on FragranceNet, but I think it was 30% or more off. I don't remember the exact price that I paid, but it is Affinescence Santal Basmati. Oh my God. When I tell you this is one of the most divine, refined, elegant sandal. Just take my ability to talk away from me today. Sandalwood fragrances. There are two notes that stand out in this fragrance to me. A really beautiful, lovely, soft, elegant sandalwood and a delightful basmati note. If you've had basmati rice and you've been in a space where it's being cooked, the sort of hazy, almost musky, powdery smell that rises up from it, it's a very comforting rice smell. It is just to die for. And this fragrance nails the combination of both of those. It is probably one of the best sandalwoods in my collection, maybe the best. Maybe I'll do a sandalwood video at some point. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Most of my viewer audience here is ladies, and there aren't a whole lot of ladies that love sandalwood the way that I do, but a good sandalwood just touches my soul. This fragrance does that for me, and I'm glad that I found it. It's one that I know I will be rocking here in the winter for sure. It's just so smooth. It's almost like a buttery and powdery fragrance at the same time. Oh, a smooth, woody butteriness from the sandalwood and that like very light, powdery, musky airiness from the basmati. I believe there's iris and another note that I'm not remembering in the fragrance. So it leans in that direction. It has some warmth for me from that sandalwood, but also just like this cool, sophisticated elegance. It is accused of not being a long-lasting fragrance. In fact, if you look at some of the reviews, people say it's just super fleeting on them and disappears quickly. I haven't had that experience with it, and I've been playing with this here on and off, and it will last at least several hours on me, and I need that for the price that I paid for this. So if you're a sandalwood lover, this is a must-try fragrance, for sure. Glad to have it. These next two were sent to me for review by So Avant-Garde. Let's talk about this next one because the whole line of these is, again, on the mega expensive side. I gotta say, though, I'm impressed by this particular one. I did ask for this one, and this is Grand Master from Mind Games. So let me say this. When I saw these bottles, and I've seen them in a number of reviews from my lovely peers here on YouTube, I haven't liked the bottles looking at them on screen. I've been like, those look really weird. I'm not really quite sure about that whole chess game idea. And then this came in the mail and I unboxed it and thought, this is nice. It's a nice hefty bottle with this ombre effect on the front. And it has like a wood ring on the top. And the Mind Games collection is chess themed. So they all have names that refer to players on the board, or I guess aspects of the game of chess. And this particular one is called Grandmaster. And I picked this one because I like the way that the notes sounded. Mostly rose and coffee, also heavy on myrrh. And so I have to say, this is a really lovely fragrance. If you like a long-lasting but subdued, here's the thing. There are some fragrances that are super loud and announce their presence before you enter the room type of thing. This is one that will come in the room with you and people will enjoy on you. And I think it's a very intriguing scent, but it is not overpowering. It does last a long time. The main players are a rose and coffee combination. So if you've smelled Cafe Rose from Tom Ford, it's in that same neighborhood. This has something a little bit creamier, whereas I think Tom Ford's Cafe Rose is more maybe like a drier type of texture. This one has a creaminess to it that is not in that fragrance. And I really like Cafe Rose too. I think it's really nice. That one's a little bit sort of sharper in terms of the way that the rose and the coffee in that fragrance come across. This one, maybe the rose and the coffee mix more together in terms of the scent experience that you get. And then it also has this like resinous amberiness to it as well in the background. The other thing that I'd like to point out about this fragrance that's different from Cafe Rose is something that I call almost like a pronounced sweetness. That's a side accompanying player that keeps this to me firmly in feminine territory. Would I like to smell this on a guy? Sure. I think my husband could rock this and smell absolutely amazing. And I would say in terms of like the sex appeal of this, it reminds me somewhat of Atomic Rose. Is it like Atomic Rose? No. I just mean in terms of the effect that it has on you when you smell it, like that wow factor. I really like this. I have to be honest and say my husband didn't care for this. He kept saying it has a lot of tonka bean. I don't see any tonka bean listed in the note structure for the fragrance, but that's what he picked up, whatever that means. Now, when I said to him, do you smell rose and do you smell coffee? Then he was like, oh yeah, I can pick out the coffee in the fragrance. So keep in mind that this is definitely rosy, definitely coffee-esque. It's not a heavy in-your-face coffee. The two play just nicely together. They're like part of a painting in this fragrance. And so this is nice. This is really, really nice. I was pleasantly surprised by this fragrance, and it's a big thumbs up for me. And it is my scent of the day, Grandmaster by Mind Games. Now I'm curious to try Double Attack, which is one of the gourmand fragrances in the group. I want to try Queening. I want to try Jadoub, and maybe one other. I'm forgetting the names of them all. But yeah, now I'm curious about this line, enjoying the bottles as well. So this was also sent to me by So Avant-Garde, and I think the jury is still sort of out for me on this one. Hubby didn't care for this at all. He was immediately like, no on it. I actually liked the opening of it a lot and the mid, and then thought the dry down got a little bit strange on me. So this is Kashimire. I am sure there is another way to pronounce it. Kashimire? Okay, here's the name. I've mentioned before that I'm not the biggest fan of these bottles or of the Sospiro bottles, and they have this sort of suede texture. I can already see lint attaching to these. My husband liked the bottle. He thought that, that it was cool. Anyway, the fragrance when I first sprayed it on smelled really lovely. It's definitely not for everyone. It was powdery. It came across almost almondy to me. It had this earthy facet, almost like a leather in the background, this kind of like gritty, dirty type of patchouli-esque scent to it that reminded me somewhat of Rosendo Mateo #7, if anyone has tried that. I thought it was like almost like a winter sweater weather, like deep into the winter, but it definitely has some kind of earthy aspect to it from patchouli, from resin notes, etc. I don't think there are any nutty notes listed in the note structure, but I absolutely got this almost almondy, like heliotrope nature to the fragrance and a heaping dose of powderiness. That's the part that my husband just didn't love at all. And this lasts a long time. So if the idea of an earthy, powdery, almost sweet, nutty fragrance, like the combo of that appeals to you, definitely check this out. As this dried down further and further, and I'm talking like deep into the dry down hours and hours later, I wasn't sure if it was playing well with me or not. And so this is one I have to try again. So right now, this fragrance is sort of like here. The opening is right here. I was like, yeah, this is fantastic. The mid was there. And then deep into the dry down, it's like at halfway, like maybe like in this category. So I will check this out some more, keep playing with it and let you know. I've had fragrances that turned into loves later on, and I've had early loves that turned into mez later on. So we shall see. I definitely think it is unique. So for those among you that want something a little bit different, you don't want to smell like everyone else, and you don't mind, like I said, that almost animalic patchouli combination in powder form and throw a little nuttiness in, maybe check this one out. It's a really interesting fragrance. Next up is a fragrance that's been around for a long time. I'm just now picking it up. I've been looking at it, and finally added it to cart when I purchased Santal Basmati, because what's wrong with me that I can't just have one thing in cart? I did for the next one that I'll talk about. But when I'm shopping on like FragranceNet or discount sites like that, for some reason, I feel like I have to have 2 or 3 that come home in one order. Is anyone else like that? If so, please put a thumbs up in the comment section below so that I know I'm not alone with these crazy obsessions. All right. So this is a fragrance, as I said, I've been eyeballing. It's from the Clean Reserve line, which I do like the aesthetic of these bottles. I have purchased and actually passed along or sold a number of these and still have maybe 1 or 2 that are hanging tough. I love Skin, Skin from this line. It's my favorite like office scent. But this is Nude Santal and Heliotrope. There's another Santal one. I think it's called Cell Santal. This is a very comfortable scent. I think it has decent projection for this line. This is, Clean Reserve is a clean line of fragrances. And sometimes clean lines will not use what are considered to be maybe like toxic fixatives that make other fragrances last longer and all of that. So I was surprised that this lasted as long as it did. It stays on me. It has a nice little scent bubble and it goes through most of the day. I've worn this to bed and smelled it on me in the morning. It gets nice and soft, but it does have good longevity. For me, this is mostly a sandalwood fragrance with a nice soft dose of powderiness that sits behind the sandalwood. The sandalwood is the primary player. It is front and center. It's a very soft, subtle sandalwood with a little bit of powderiness behind it. There's something in the fragrance that comes across almost slightly salty to me. It definitely has a little bit of woodiness that perhaps some people might pick up as like that pencil shaving thing. I don't think it's as heavy on pencil shavings as you get in other sandalwood fragrances. In fact, it's really faint in here to the point where it almost comes across like just a dash. I just realized what this kind of sort of reminds me of. It's like a softer, more buttery, powderier version of Stash by Sarah Jessica Parker. That fragrance leans to me more in the boyfriend territory, like a boyfriend scent that you would wear. I'm talking about Stash, that you would wear yourself. Okay. If you wanted to smell like your significant other's flannel shirt or their jacket or something like that with their skin scents. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. This is giving me some of that vibe, but more in unisex, maybe even in feminine territory. There is a little slight masculine aspect to this. And so this is a solid like. I'm not sure if it's heavy on the like meter, like way up there, or into love territory yet. We shall see. When I first tried this, I thought, oh, this isn't for me. I should probably sell this right away. And I wasn't even going to talk about it. But I did give it a few wears, like I tell all of you to do. I'm trying to practice what I preach and actually give something a fair chance, give it 2, 3, maybe 4 wears before I make a decision. So right now I am probably 2 full wears in and several sampling experiences on top of that. And it's a solid like. So I will report back to you on this one. Okay, friends. And last but absolutely not least, and a blind buy, and I paid full price for it. Oh, no discount codes to share with you. Sorry, this is Jo Malone's Ginger Biscuit. Oh, can we just take a minute for the cuteness that is this bottle? Mind you, if you take this off, it's just a regular Jo Malone bottle, which is still quite nice. But then you have the cute little thing. This gets in the way when you spray, just to be clear. So in that way, it's annoying. But I do like the novelty of the little added feature on there. Maybe some of y'all think is oogle. If so, let me know in the comments. You know, I appreciate a difference of opinion as long as you keep it polite in the comments. We can all have differences and still enjoy checking out fragrances together. Ain't that right, friends? All right, so Ginger Biscuit. So these are cologne concentrations from Jo Malone. Not going to be beast mode. You're not going to like, people aren't going to smell you down the street. Nowhere. You know who's going to smell you? The person standing right next to you. I have only worn this once and continued to like sort of sample it here and there, like sniff and like spray on my arm a few times since I've gotten it. First of all, let me tell you about when this thing came back in stock. Friends, the ladies and maybe some gentlemen too were going absolutely freaking bananas purchasing this off of Neiman Marcus, purchasing it off of Bloomingdale's. They went to your mama's backyard. They went to JoJo's trunk sale at the church and got it out of his sedan. People were buying it up off of everywhere. You couldn't find this. And I was like, man, this must be some good stuff. Now I'm in a number of fragrance Facebook groups. I never comment. I just kind of read the comments that people are leaving. And I noticed that this was just popping up over and over and over again. And I'm like, people are really loving some Ginger Biscuit. I want it too. I couldn't find it anywhere because everyone bought it up off of everybody's site. Then it came back in stock on Jo Malone. I had put my name on the list to get alerted when it came back in. So y'all, and I was traveling for work. And one morning it was like, your item is back in stock. And I was like, oh, stop the show. This is the hysteria of the FOMO nonsense. I went to Jo Malone. I added to cart. I didn't even look for a discount code, y'all. Nothing. I didn't even use Rakuten to get, like right now I'm looking on Rakuten. It's an extra 10% off. I just went ahead and paid, you know, full price for this thing. So the fragrance, it's loved in this house. Let me just say that. And again, like I said before, that means a lot. When I like it and everyone here likes it, it's a harmonious, happy fragrance experience. I wore this to bed. My husband liked it on me as a bedtime fragrance. Thought it was really pleasant. Now, Jo Malone, if I'm not mistaken, is a British brand, if I remember correctly. And biscuit means cookie in the UK, the United Kingdom. Okay. So this does absolutely smell like, imagine a fresh, just ginger cookie, like a ginger snap cookie is what I meant to say. It has almost like a vanilla cookie dough scent, right? from the batter that you use for the cookies. And then it's sprinkled ever so lightly with just a little bit of ginger, maybe some other spices on it. Now, if you go to the Jo Malone website, it will tell you it features a top note of ginger, a featured heart note of roasted hazelnut. I can't say I get a lot of nuttiness in the fragrance. I think for me, it's mostly a cookie with some spices, and then a base note of tonka bean. And so, yes, there's some of that sweet, like vanillic nature that you get from tonka bean, like a chunky vanilla. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It's a nice complement to ginger essence from Origins. Like that one is very bright in the citrus realm, a happy, light, bright citrus. This one is almost like a gourmand cousin to that one. This is the Paula Deen to that fragrance. This is the cooking version of a beautiful, light, sweet little ginger cookie. I like it. I could see wearing this a lot here in the fall going into the Thanksgiving time period and certainly into the winter holidays. And of course, especially Christmas. I could see this as like a Christmas morning scent where you don't want to overpower the room with your fragrance, but you want to smell in a Christmas spirit. This might be a really lovely choice. So this is a winner. I'm really happy with my shopping experience. I forgot to tell you, Jo Malone, they came through. So I placed that order. And y'all, between 48 and 72 hours later, between 2 and 3 days later, it was on my doorstep. I was like, what? And so it's been a happy union ever since. Friends, I hope that you enjoyed this parade of fragrances here. Some gifted, some purchased with my own money, if you will. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really appreciate you spending some time with me. And watch out for that upcoming mega sale. In fact, friends, get your coins ready for early Christmas. Okay, just trust me, it's coming. It's coming.